Hey, it's Matt from Landsiedel Fitness. I am here today to talk to you a bit about the hamstring group. So we have 3 hamstrings. We have our outer hamstring here, which is our biceps femoris. We have our middle hamstring, which is our semitendinosus. And we have our medial or our inner hamstring, which is going to be our semimembranosus. Okay? So these muscles are predominantly hip extension muscles. So hip extension is going to be to come back like this. Okay? Sitting a lot in this position, we're sitting, our hamstrings tend to become shortened because they are also flexors of the knee. They're going to bring the knee in and back. Okay? So it allows the hamstrings to become nice and shortened. The hamstrings are also in charge of internal and medial and external lateral rotation at the hip, just like that. One of the best static stretches for hamstrings is going to be something I like to call the heel and bow. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our heel placed up. So this is called dorsiflexion of the foot. So we're bringing the foot back to the shin, and we're resting on our heels. Okay. So this is a really nice active stretch up too. So we're going to come down like this. We can make it static by just kind of hanging out like this. We want to bend at the hip. Okay, so you notice how I've just bent at the hip? My lower back isn't rounding. That means you're bending at the back. So we want to make sure we're bending at the hip, come down, and we're hanging out here. Okay, static. If we want to move into an active dynamic stretch, we're going to come down and up and down and up. So what this is really good for is it's really good for creating shoulder mobility as well as creating a little bit of a deeper stretch in the hamstrings when you go down into the movement. Self-myofascial release that we're going to do is for our hamstrings. So it's very difficult to get into the hamstrings when you're down on the ground. It's really hard to get enough weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to be up on a bench here like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ball, I'm going to place it underneath my left hamstring here. For a lot of people, the higher insertion point up closer to the buttocks is going to be where you're going to find a little bit more tightness, but depends on your body. So just start here and begin to just kind of move around on the hamstring and find where's the tightest. Moving to the side, you can turn your foot out to the side if you want, and sit up and apply as much pressure as you need, and taking pressure off with this back. The hamstring flexion on the ball. So flexion of the hamstring is going to be in like this. Okay, so we're pulling and we're shortening the hamstring. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be laying on our back. The best way to get the hamstrings nice and shortened is to pull the heels down, okay, in any movement that you're doing. So even if you're doing like a leg press and you want to bring the hamstrings into it, you're going to intentionally drag your weight down on your foot. That'll activate the hamstring. So in this movement here, what I'll be focusing on doing is driving my heels down and into the ball throughout the whole range of the movement. Okay? So stabilization, you can use elbows if you want to modify it. If you don't want to modify it, you're going to cross your arms over. You're going to bridge your hips by thrusting your hips up, and you're going to drag the ball in towards your body. Okay? So driving the heels down and pushing out and driving in. Okay? The hamstring flexion using the TRX. So the TRX is a suspension trainer used to use the body weight as a stimulus to develop the muscle. So one of the things we want to be mindful of when we're using the TRX is that we're keeping constant tension on the TRX, because the tension in the TRX is where the tension then transfers into the muscle. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate the hamstring flexion. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by hooking our heels in to the handle. Okay, so we're hooking the heel right into this under part. We want to make sure that the handles are level, okay, so that we're getting both muscles at the same height. We want to walk ourselves out so the TRX is in line straight with the floor, right? We don't want there to be any sort of angle down. And we're going to lay back. We're going to cross our arms over as an advanced, or we're going to bring our elbows down as a stabilizer for something a bit more modified, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to bridge our hips up off of the ground, and we're going to bring our heels to our butt, okay? So the whole way I'm doing this is I'm making sure that my heels are driving down towards the ground. That's how I'm creating the most tension in the hamstrings, okay? For people who are advanced, I want you to keep your hips elevated throughout the whole movement, and for people who are modifying, I want you to come down in between every repetition, okay? So up, drive back, out, and down.